Hi. Today I'd like to look at the life of Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple, an American inventor and businessman, and look at his life from the Your Life Blueprint perspective. What was it in his blueprint that made him the Henry Ford of our time, the Thomas Edison of our time, the P.T. Barnum of our time? So let's take a look at that. Let's look at some of the most important parts of his blueprint, such as the spiritual. Spiritual is the most important part of who we are, generally. It's the main personality that we have in our life. It's the main way we express ourselves in our life. And the spiritual is the main way that we individually contact our inner selves, the peace inside. So Mr. Jobs was a warrior spiritually. So he was a spiritual warrior. And spiritual warriors are very independent, very willful, very direct, very honest. They love to experiment. And they love a challenge. They love a challenge. In fact, they thrive on challenges in their lives. And Mr. Jobs certainly had a number of challenges. Spiritual warriors, when they get knocked down, they're the ones who can always bounce back. Always. And when they bounce back stronger. So he had mentioned that one of the best times in his life, he said, was in 1985 when he was fired from his own company, fired from Apple, because it challenged him to come up with some new ideas, some new ways of doing things. And like I said, warriors love a challenge. Warriors can also be perceived sometimes as temperamental or having a big ego. They can be intimidating sometimes. And I'm sure, and I've heard that some of his coworkers, felt that about him. What they were seeing, though, is this warrior energy. This is what they were coming up against, this very powerful, passionate, strong-willed energy that he had, and that really made him who he was, primarily. So the spiritual is important. Also in his life, career would be important to take a look at. In his career, he is governed by the loner energy. And you can see that in that he came up with a lot of the ideas himself, and then he also presented them to the world himself. He didn't give them to somebody else to, present. He wanted to be the presenter too. He wanted to be the inventor, the creator, the CEO, and the presenter as well, and the marketer as well. Loners like to do it all themselves. They really don't like to delegate out their work because they want it done a certain way and they feel like they know how to do it. And a loner is literally a loner. They want to do it by themselves and for themselves. Now his Dharma fits in nicely here too, which was being a Vaishya. Dharma is how we help the world the most, our real life purpose. And it fits in with career. Interacts with career very strongly. In fact, Dharma is the basis of career. So he was a Vaishya. The Vaishyas are the business class people, the buyers, the sellers, the marketers, the traders, the resources, basically. And he certainly was a great marketer. He knew how to market his own creations. So being a loner, he wanted to do it all himself. Being a Vaishya, he was a great marketer and could get his ideas out into the world like that. Last but not least, let's take a look at his physical health. He died at a fairly young age, in his mid-50s, and apparently in the 70s he went to India, visited India on kind of a spiritual quest, and met, I think, Neem Karoli Baba, and decided to be vegetarian, and I believe was vegetarian primarily for the rest of his life. I think he may have eaten fish, But let's take a look at that. Was that helpful for his body or not? He physically has what we call the disease or the imbalance of heat. Now, heat building up in the body causes a catabolic reaction. Catabolic energy is like, it basically means a faster metabolism. And it means that the body breaks down more often than it builds up. So there can be a lot of depletion issues going on if the body isn't being fed properly, or if you're doing too much, exercising too much, or whatever. It can break the body down too much. When you have an extreme catabolic type, like he was actually with his disease of heat, he was very much on the extreme end of catabolism, if that's even a word. The body then needs protein as the main fuel, and that means animal protein. So the primary fuel for his body would be, and the best diet would be, animal protein, high, good quality fats and oils, and very low carbohydrates. Not exactly a vegetarian diet. So it's very possible that his body may have been harmed somewhat by not really giving it the proper fuel. We see this a lot, actually. People who are, even with people who are meant to be vegetarian from their type, their physical type, who choose to eat meat or eat a lot of animal protein, and they get sick. They come down with certain cancers and like that. In his case, he chose to be vegetarian, but his body really needed more protein. But in the end, it's really all about how you want to live your life. And, he certainly lived his life the way that he wanted to. And his life, his blueprint really helped us all and quite literally revolutionized the world with his creations. So in the end, it's all good, it's all fine. He lived his life the way that he was supposed to live his life. But in analyzation of these things, obviously we see that his body really did need more animal protein, and vegetarian diet would be hard to stay balanced on with his particular body. And again, don't get the wrong idea. Being vegetarian is absolutely fine and is the way to go for people who have certain physical types. It's not so great for other people like that. In any case, thanks very much for watching today and listening. And if you have any questions or you want to find out more about Your Life Blueprint, you can go to www.yourlifeblueprint.net.